So, The Economist just interviewed Fender CEO Andy Mooney, and the implications are rather shocking. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Ministry of Guitar. My name is Utkarsh Mohan. As always, if you like what I'm doing, please do like, subscribe, and share. It's a very standard thing to say, but the point is that this algorithm, this whole YouTube thing, is so dependent on people actually wanting to watch the content and demonstrating it through action. So that's the reason why I keep asking, so please don't mind that. Now, I was very excited this week because popping up on my usual feeds was an interview by The Economist of Andy Mooney, the CEO of Fender. It's a paid subscription thing. Probably a lot of you haven't seen it. I'm one of those people who subscribe to The Economist. Good or bad, I don't know. We'll talk about that at a different time. But this popped up. And I was very excited because one thing I realized about Andy Mooney, which I liked about him, this is a while back, is that he's a very data-driven kind of person. I remember this number that he had cited a long time back of only 10% of new guitarists continue playing guitar, and his actions were based on that data. So I kind of like that. It's a philosophy that I can relate to myself through my own approach to business and leadership in my corporate career in the past. So I wanted to open this and I wanted to see what he had to say, because the topic was on the lines of how AI would be affecting the music industry, which is something I've been talking about a lot on this channel. So I saw it, I listened to it, and let's just say this: I was shocked, but not in a negative way, in a very, very positive way. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to break down 5 data points, going back to the data-based approach, 5 data points that really are better than you think and will surprise you. And I will color each of these data points with a bit of my experience as a business person running a business. You guys know my background, for those of you who watch this channel, so that you have some idea of what this means. So let's do this. So I'm going to start out industry and I'm going to zoom down to guitars. I could have done it the opposite way, but let's just do it in this way. So the data point number 1, the number of people paying for streaming is growing dramatically, and it is very, very large. So it used to be about 1.1 billion pre-pandemic, and it's grown to about 1.7 billion. So it's gone up by like 70% in the last 4 years. And it was much, much lower earlier. I'm not going to turn this into a full history of it. The experts that be said that it would take a long time to even get to a billion. So the very fact that we have almost doubled that in a very, very short period of time, and these are people paying for streaming services, is incredible. And you can imagine how big a number 1.7 billion is, right? I mean, several times the population of the US. You can combine the US, Europe, North America population together, and you will get nowhere close to this number. So Andy Mooney cited this as well. The main thing that I realized from this is it was very interesting to understand that we always perceive the past, the rock and roll, the rock era, as the golden era, and it was in a way. But the thing is, the participation of the global population in this era was much lower. The number of people who were paying for recorded music is gone up dramatically over this versus, say, the 90s or the 80s or the 70s or 60s. The reason for this is simply global prosperity. The number of people living in poverty, the number of people who were illiterate, the number of people who didn't have means in the world was very, very high at the end of World War II and 19th, 20th century. And this has constantly been going up. I mean, one big part of it is, of course, China. China pulled a lot of people out of prosperity, but it's not restricted to China. It's what's happening with India, for example, a lot of places in Asia, a lot of places in Africa. So what you have to realize is that a lot of this music, and I'm going to get into who are these people, what are they listening to, a lot of people paying for streaming are coming from outside of the usual places, outside of the people who were buying records back in the day. And so even though the era of paying for records seems to be a golden era, there are a lot more people paying for streaming than who were buying records. So that's one implication. That's kind of something I wasn't thinking of. I always thought of music industry's heyday was, whenever, 1991 probably, what a great year that was. So yeah, that was one of the things that really surprised me. Data point number 2, what are these people listening to? They are primarily listening to back catalog music, not new music. So that is very interesting. So what's happening is, no, it's not that the new artists who are coming are driving the streaming and the consumption. It is primarily back catalog music. So in a way, all the people like me who argue that the music of the past was better, I think you are right. The music of the past was better. And new music is a lot more disposable. It's like you have a new hit, the new TikTok thing this week, then you change on to something else. They do not endure. But a lot of the stuff, say what the Beatles did, Pink Floyd did, even a lot of pop artists from the 70s and 80s, Michael Jackson, their music endures. So what is happening is that as the number of people growing streaming is increasing, the music that they're listening to is not the latest Taylor Swift or the latest whatever. I mean, they are, but primarily they're listening to back catalog music. And Andy Mooney actually cited the case of his daughter, who's a really 17-year-old daughter who's really gotten into the Beatles, which is a nice story. I'm pretty sure it's true, but that's nice. I mean, a lot of people. In fact, this is not the first person I've heard this from. I've recently been hearing of a lot of young people listening to the Beatles, which is really makes me happy. Now, this point of back catalog music is important because this is the reality. Majority of the back catalog music is guitar based or guitar oriented, or at least there is a guitar somewhere in the mix. So what's happening, if you look at it big picture, is the number of ears listening and paying for music, because when you're paying for streaming, you are paying for music. Little or much we'll talk about. The number of people paying for music in the world is increasing. The kind of music that they are listening to has a guitar tinged flavor to it, because they're not only listening to the latest beats or whatever, they are listening to back catalog music. This is incredibly positive news. I did not expect this. So all of this is new for me. I knew the streaming numbers vaguely, but I was not paying so much attention. I was not sure it was growing. I did not know it was growing explosively, but the fact that it is, and it is driven by back catalogs, is really, really exciting to me. Now we're going to bring this to the guitar industry, right? So there are good external reasons for the guitar industry to continue growing, because a lot more people are listening to a guitar in period. A lot more people are paying to listen to a guitar period. So what's happening here is the guitar industry is growing late single digits to early double digits. Now, to most of you, this does not sound like an exciting number, but realize this, and I'll give you my context, right? Because I did work for one of the largest American companies you have, one of the most iconic ones, and definitely one of the most iconic brands there exists. You can see my profile if you want. These are mature industries. The guitar industry, the electric guitar industry, is a mature industry. It's been there since the 50s. This is not the latest tech startup which is doubling every year or whatever grows explosively. Mature industries do not grow at that rate. For a mature industry to grow at double digit ever, like to have a double digit year, is like, if you are a manager or if you're a leader of a mature business and it grows double digit, you will probably pop out the champagne, your bonuses will be through the roof. That's how it works. Businesses that I worked for, I can count on my hands the years. I had double digit years when I was working on, say, the countries that are developing, right? The countries that are starting from a low base, like say India. So I had many double digit years like that. But when I worked on the developed world, when I worked on Japan, when I worked on Australia, when I worked on Korea, and I did have a global responsibility as well, double digit year was like a unicorn. So the very fact that Fender has been growing double digit, and the music industry, guitar industry together with it, and this is not the last year of the pandemic. So Andy Mooney did mention that it was to do with pandemic. There was a big spike and there was a correction, so it did come down. But he was talking about, excuse me, I think I just hit my mic. What he was talking about was a 10-year weighted average. So over the past 10 years, they have grown at an average of more than late single digits, early double digits. That is crazy. I did not expect that number. Again, mature industries, they do not grow this fast. What this simply means is that you are either adding a lot of new users, or you're adding a lot of more expenditure, or more existing users, existing buyers are paying more. Which brings me to my next point. This was the data point that really made me very happy. The first data point that made me really happy was the back catalog music and the total number of streaming. But this data point that made me happy was 45%. 45% of Fender's new buyers, 45% of Fender's guitars are sold to new buyers. That is shocking to me for a mature business. Again, I worked on a very, very mature business, a very, very iconic brand, a brand probably more iconic than Fender. I have never seen this sort of number. If I had 45% of my sales coming from new buyers, I would be like, my God, this is the healthiest business that I have. It's growing 10%, 45% of it is are new people. It's crazy. I need to emphasize this to you because these are not numbers you see on a mature business. You may see this in a startup, you may see this in something new, but not on a business that's been around for 60, 70 years and that people assume that the heyday is, whenever, back in the day. So that is crazy. 45% of guitars are sold to new buyers. Very, very positive news. Now it gets even better. Out of these new buyers, 50% of them are women. Now, I'll tell you why this is good, and I'll tell you what has changed. This is good because, of course, it's good to have equal, but more than that, the reason why this is happening is so intuitive, and it makes so much sense. Now, here's the thing, right? When you go to a store, a guitar store, as a new guitar player who can't play anything, it is such an intimidating place, right? Because guitar store, everybody is sitting. You'll have somebody who's showing off. They're just shredding along here. You're just scared to even play a chord because you are feeling the judgment of the world around you. I mean, I don't feel this nervousness anymore because, I feel that I have played for 20 years. I know what I can play. I'm no longer trying to play the most difficult thing I play. But I could tell you for the first 5 years, 10 years of playing, I definitely felt that nervousness. And as a new player, I was just happy when I first went to buy the guitar. I had my friend with me. I asked him to try the guitar because I was too scared. I didn't want anybody to judge how badly I played. So here's the thing. What you feel as a new buyer, you probably feel it worse, or not you probably feel it worse, but what data seems to suggest, this is what their surveys, Fender surveys seem to suggest, is that women feel this trepidation even more, new women players. They feel even bigger judgment of being judged, a fear of being judged rather, I should say. Because, guitar is rather male dominated. It is. Even my subscriber base is male dominated. That's okay. But that does make it seem even more potentially scary place for somebody, a new guitar player, that to a woman. Now, what has changed? Why has it suddenly become 50%? Some of you are going to say the Taylor Swift effect. It's actually not Taylor Swift. It is online shopping. It is e-commerce. Because what has happened is that women can now buy, or anybody, not just women, people can now buy guitars online. So what's happening is because women can buy guitars online, everybody can buy guitars online, they no longer have to fear going into the guitar store and getting judged. So they just buy online. So a lot of the sales that are going to women is happening through online sales. So this is not what I was expecting, but it's great because anything that stops people from buying should be addressed. There's a concept that we have in the marketing industry. It is called trial barrier. The idea is what is stopping your potential customer from buying you, from engaging your products, from engaging your service? What is stopping them? That's called a trial barrier. If the trial barrier for a new guitarist is, I really want to play guitar, but I'm scared of buying a guitar because I'll be judged if I walk into the store. Wonderful. Don't walk into the store. Buy it online. And I'm so happy that this trial barrier is getting busted for you. So I'm so happy. So that's over here. Now there's more. There is one negative point, which is not new, but I think we all need to realize and emphasize, and this is honestly something all of us can do something about. The negative point is this. The number that has not changed, the number that endures, is that out of 10 people who come to buy a guitar, only one person will continue playing guitar. 9 of them will drop out. This happens due to a multitude of reasons. Guitar is difficult to learn in the beginning. People lose interest, etc. But 1 out of 10 is very, very bad. Again, putting in a lens of my own past, for the product that I used to work on, the people, if they buy the product, of course, they enter the category, they stay in the category. But just for my product, the number used to be like 40%. So 10% is very, very low. So my question is, what can we do about this? Why do I say that we can do something about this? There is way too much judgment and trolling and nonsense, both on the online world when it comes to guitar, from insecure guitarists. I've never seen a good guitarist, a secure guitarist do this, but there are so many trolls, even on my YouTube channel. Number of people going after me for my playing or assuming that I don't play, I just collect, or just in general saying you play like a beginner or whatever it means. I don't need validation. I mean, I've been playing with a live band for 20 years, so I don't care. But I can fully imagine if you are new. And remember, today's world is a very social world. A lot of people are buying guitar because they want to play and they want to put it on their social media. Don't judge them for it. This is just the way this generation is. This is just the way human expression is happening in this generation. Don't judge them for it. But don't unnecessarily troll people. Don't take out your insecurities because, I don't know, because you've had a bad day or you don't like your boss or whoever dumped you. Screw that. Don't do that. If somebody's trying to learn an instrument, somebody's trying to express themselves, stop doing that. I'm not saying this will magically turn the number of 10% retaining to 40%, but it can only help. So that is one sincere message that I have for a lot of guitarists. Please do not troll. You are doing more damage than you think, particularly for new guitarists. So there was that. Last bit of data, which was very interesting as well, lifetime value. So the 10% of guitarists who make it through to become a guitarist after buying a first guitar, their lifetime value is about $10,000. They end up buying everything from guitars, picks, strings, blah, 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 $10,000. But what Fender has realized, and I think Gibson was onto this ironically 10 years ago, maybe they were a bit early and they didn't do it well, is that the lifetime value for guitars is one thing. The lifetime value for recording equipment is a whole different thing. And it's about $40,000. So hence one of the strategies that you're seeing with a lot of people, including Fender, is that they're trying to expand the horizons beyond the guitar to recording equipment. I think this is not a bad thing. I think this is a good thing. I'm not saying that I necessarily want people to spend more. I think you can do a lot of great recording. But at the same time, this is a hobby and people do enjoy expressing themselves. So my suggestion is for all guitar companies to think about how they can use this as a pivot. And even for you, how can you take advantage of this kind of renaissance of recording equipment that's happening, and how can that help you in your journey? Just note this. This is not a particularly shocking piece of data, but I'll throw it in there because it's something that Andy Mooney mentioned. So, all right, I'm just going to summarize this entire thing. These are my takeaways. The music industry is healthier than you think. Of course, the amount of money each person pays on music and how that is distributed to the artist leaves a lot to be desired. But the reality is that now in 2024, there are more people paying for music than ever. 1.8 billion. Crazy. That's the first thing. Second thing, majority of this music is back catalog, which is not today's music, which is kind of relieving. And it has a guitar element. It is guitar-based music. Because of this, many, many more human ears are listening to and paying for guitar-based music. This is helping keeping the guitar industry healthy. This is why it is consistently growing at late single digits, early double digits, which is amazing. And in spite of this, there is a lot of opportunity because now for the first time, thanks to online shopping, you have a lot more women playing. But the opportunity remains that only 10% of people who pick up a guitar continue to keep playing. So that is something that we should all hope to improve and try to help. These are my takeaways. I would love to hear what you thought as well. As always, I hope this has been helpful. I'll see you next time.